Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about our next major upcoming snowstorm. It's going to be happening in about 4 or 5 days. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, I would also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting store in the description and the pinned comment down below, and also our very awesome Patreon page where we're actually going to be making a post about that upcoming pattern, the temperature pattern for the eastern United States that looks very, very cold. So you can check that out in the description and the pinned comment down below. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think that this major snowstorm is going to happen? And if so, where do you think it's going to set up? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, let's get right into this video. And first things first, we're taking a look at that simulated radar, and this is for about, I would say, 12 p.m. here on Monday, December 28th. And as you can see, we do have some snowfall going on for the southwest, and that's where our snowstorm is going to begin its life, is down there in the southwest, where it is going to bring some snow to California. They haven't seen a lot so far this winter. And as we take it to about maybe 1 p.m. on Tuesday, you can see it moves much further east. We see some snowfall going on for the Four Corner states, but especially there in the plains for Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, and Missouri, with some ice going on down there for Kansas. And this is really the beginning of our major snowstorm. Now, what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to move on towards very, very early on Wednesday, December 30th, where we're going to start to see some very heavy snowfall develop for portions of the plains and the upper Midwest, where we're going to start to really see it come down. Now, like I said, here we are at about 1 a.m. here on Wednesday, December 30th. And as you can see, that low pressure center is located in between Oklahoma and Kansas there. We do have some moderate to heavy snowfall developing there from, I guess, western Kansas in through portions of Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, southern Minnesota, and then for the most part, most of Iowa as well. As you can see, like I said, there is some freezing rain there located in those pinks in between the rain and the snow. That could be an issue if it does play out this way. We are still quite a few days away, so the locations could change, the intensity could change, the temperature, the timing. Everything basically could change at this point in certain directions, but the models seem very confident that there will be a snowstorm. So that's kind of the building blocks of forecasting a snowstorm like this. The very first foundational piece that you need in place is that, well, the models agree there will be a storm, and we basically go from there. And that's the stage we're at now, which is pretty much the very, very beginning stages of forecasting a snowstorm. Let's just move on and take a look at about 7 a.m. here on Wednesday. So this is a little later in the morning. As you can see, that heavy snowfall really moves further into Minnesota and Wisconsin. Our low pressure center is located over eastern Kansas by this point. And we're still just seeing very moderate to heavy snowfall by that point for a pretty widespread region there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards later in the evening on Wednesday, December 30th, and move towards New Year's Eve on December 31st. That's going to be a Thursday, and just watch the end of this storm. All right, now here we are by about 7 p.m. here on Wednesday, December 30th, like I said. As you can see, we still have that moderate to heavy snowfall going on for Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, portions of Iowa, portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin as well as the upper peninsula of Michigan there. That rain snow line is consistently moving further and further north as that low pressure center moves further and further north. And the interesting thing here is you can see we have very warm temperatures there for the southeast with a very strong cold front moving through. It might seem pretty familiar because this is basically the same exact setup we just had for around Christmas time. It is a bit different, but that Christmas Eve storm, this is looking quite similar, especially with that severe weather threat down there for the deep south, possibly some areas like Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, and this type of a setup. I could see them having some severe weather. Let's take it to about 1 p.m. here on Thursday, December 31st. Again, this is going to be New Year's Eve here. And as you can see, we have very strong cold front developing there. We see a lot of precipitation down there for the deep south. Again, probably severe weather. We do have more snowfall developing there from Missouri there, even in through areas in Illinois. So that would be quite interesting to see it play out that way. And by 7 p.m., we see that expand into Indiana as well. Again, severe weather potentially for the southeast and deep south there. And then by the time we reach 1 a.m. here, basically the first few hours of the year of 2021, we do see some moderate to heavy snowfall spreading for the Ohio Valley here. And actually, by the time we reach 7 a.m., it's all the way through Ohio, portions of Pennsylvania starting to mix in, Michigan, Wisconsin, seeing a lot of snowfall. And then it's basically all said and done by 1 p.m. on New Year's Day. Again, I want to reiterate the fact this could change significantly in multiple directions. This is the very earliest portion of our model guidance for this storm, and over the coming days, we're going to continue to make these videos and watch it evolve together. The models have done a bad job this year, so I would be lying to you if I told you I think this model is going to be absolutely correct, because I do not think it's going to be correct, and I think there's going to be some major differences in the storm, but this is the best we have to go off of right now, and we're going to watch it develop together. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and take a little bit of a look at what the GFS model has to say, then what our Canadian model has to say, and then we're going to get a little bit of a look into what the total snowfall maps look like from all three of these models as well. All right, now let's take a look at what the GFS has to say. This is maybe about, I would say this is probably about 10 p.m. here on Tuesday, December 29th. And as you can see, we have some moderate to heavy snowfall going on for the upper Midwest and portions of the plains. That's very similar to what the European model was calling for. And then by the time we reach maybe about, I would say this is probably about 3 a.m. here on Thursday, December 31st here. Again, we have that very strong cold front develop, potential for severe weather down there in the deep south. And then we have that snow along that cold front. This is very similar to Christmas Eve, like I said. But what's different here on the GFS model versus the European model is this is about 1 p.m. on New Year's Day. We see a lot of snowfall going on for the interior northeastern and mid-Atlantic United States there. That would be very interesting if we saw this set up that way. Obviously, this would be more impactful because we're seeing more regions get impacted there by the storm. Let's just take a look at that Canadian model, and this one is kind of all over the place. This is by about maybe 4 p.m. here on Tuesday, December 29th. And as you can see, we see some heavy snowfall going on for the Dakotas, Nebraska, Iowa, even in through Illinois. And then eventually, by the time we reach maybe about 4 p.m. on Wednesday, December 30th, we see some moderate to heavy snowfall going on for the Great Lakes. But this looks significantly different than our other two models. And then eventually, by the time we're reaching maybe 7 p.m. on New Year's Eve, we see heavy snowfall there to the west of that cold front with a strong low pressure center located over Indiana. And it's kind of going a little bit, it's going negatively tilted a little bit there. Very interesting setup that could potentially bring snow showers as far south as Louisiana, according to the Canadian model. Very interesting. And then eventually this evolves into a major Great Lakes and Ohio Valley snowstorm there on our Canadian model, like I said. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and take a look at the total snowfall maps according to all three of these models. Take a look at what they have to say for this entire storm. And let me just tell you, it's shocking how much snowfall they're thinking is possible at this point. All right, now here we are taking a look at the European model's total snowfall map. And this one doesn't go much further than Michigan and Ohio as far as how eastward it goes. So we're only going to take a look at this view for this one. But the next two models after this, the GFS and the Canadian model, did show some snowfall further east. So we're actually going to show this view and then the East Coast view as well for those ones. So rest assured, we will show you guys both of those regions there. As you can see, if you're anywhere in the grays, you're expecting a dusting, if anything. If you're in the blues, you're expecting 2 to 6 inches of snow, according to this model. In the purples, they're expecting 6 to 10 inches of snow, according to this model. In the pinks, expecting 10 to 20 inches of snow, according to this model. And then in those kind of, I would say, teal pastel colors, which we see some of that for Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Upper Peninsula, Michigan. That's where you're at 20 to 30 inches of snow, according to this model. So yes, a very major snowstorm is being forecasted by the models right now. This is only a model guidance update, so I'm not necessarily saying I'm forecasting this to happen, but certainly the models are at this point. Let's move on and take a look at the GFS model. And it shows a little bit less here, as you can see, for the upper Midwest. We see still those very high amounts, but it's less widespread. We see a lot of large amounts of snowfall there for portions of South Dakota, Minnesota, and especially Wisconsin there as well. Let's take a look at that interior northeast and mid-Atlantic region there on our GFS model. And as you can see, this one is calling for 10 inches plus here, and even for upstate New York, potentially 20 inches plus. So definitely a major snowstorm according to this model for the east as well. Let's take a look at that Canadian model. And this one looks like kind of more like the European model, I would say. Very widespread amounts of 10 to 20 inches of snow, and actually quite large widespread regions of 20 inches plus as well there from Iowa and through Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan. But again, I want to remind you, this is probably not going to look exactly this way. We are going to see some changes over the coming days as we watch this one. So I want you guys to stay tuned. I will keep you guys up to date with the updates with these models and what they're calling for with this storm. And by the time we're reaching maybe about the 29th, 30th time frame, so early next week, maybe I'm talking maybe by Sunday, Monday time frame, we're going to have a really good idea of what's to come with this snowstorm compared to what we're expecting now. Let's take a look at that east view real quick, and as you can see, the Canadian model is calling for a lot of lake effect snow as well, actually, as you can see. Plenty of that going on for Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, so we will be watching that situation as well. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys yesterday, which out of these 2 months, January or February, do you think will be the coldest or the snowiest? And John Fernandez said February will be the snowiest and January will be the coldest. I think it's really interesting that you're thinking one will be colder and one will be snowier than the other, when usually you would expect one to be colder and snowier than the other. Very interesting. I'll be curious to see if you're correct in that call. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Sebastian Tao, John Benbenick, Justin Quantrill, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Alan Cherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalesa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, and Mark J. If you would like to be on this Patreon end screen, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.